Alrighty, you guys, what is up? We're here to talk episode 4 of the Twisted Wonderland anime. It is the drop day of the anime. Not drop as in we're dropping the anime, but drop as in it was the day that it was dropped. So we're on episode 4 right now. That means we are halfway through the season as it is being 8 episodes, if I remember right. We're going under the assumption that it's 8 episodes. It's pretty much everything we've seen so far that it's 8 episodes. So it's gonna put us about like early mid December, so that's two puts us yeah. All right, so about mid December, mid slash late December, depending on how you want to call it, but just a little bit before Christmas, basically. But anyway, so we have episode 4 dropped today. It is titled "A Desperate Heart," which for anyone that plays the game or has played or whatever, it is basically the same name title as the first chapter of the Hartsley Buell section of the main story. So we've seen that happen with most of these episodes. They've all shared the name of one of the story chapters to some extent. Slight variations here or there, but everything they've had the same name as one of the story chapters, and as well for one of the um, things when it comes to the game is book one, the Hartsley Buell section of the story is called the Rose Red Tyrant. Um, so there's not much of a actual like recap for the episode since there's nothing to really recap, I guess, because it finishes up the prologues and it doesn't didn't the only thing it kind of really set up was the kind of trial of within Hartsley Buell, kind of them like showing Ace and Deuce looking on at a kind of court proceeding, so to speak. But so as we have the episode start, we have it goes into the mirror that is in the bedroom, sorry, that you and Grimm sleep in, and it's doing its magic thing, which there's the theory out there that it's Blot and it's kind of involved with whatever the villains of the general story of the game and everything are, but that's neither here nor there. We're not really going to touch on the theories for now. We might do something on that later on, but for now, we're just going to break into what is basically the stuff from the anime itself and any way it ties into the games and stuff. But so the mirror does its thing. It shows scenes of, as far as the game, it's all pretty much black and white, but it shows when Alice comes upon the rose garden and you see the card soldiers painting the roses red. So it was pretty cool to see that part be tied in. I was wondering if they were going to do that, which is kind of a big thing for Yu's character since he sees kind of that whole thing happen across all his time in the dorms. But after that, Yu kind of wakes up thinking it's all a dream, where they hear a knock at the door of Ramshackle, and it turns out to be Ace. And in that same instance, they see the off with your head collar around him, so he is unable to use magic at the time. And once they answer the door, he's basically just telling them, "All right, I'm gonna be here now, so I'm gonna be a student of Ramshackle." So he quote unquote left um, Hartsley Buell in favor of Ramshackle, and after that, it cuts to the opening theme, which, as we all know by now, is "Piece of My World." After that, it kind of gets into the little bit of exposition on why Ace ended up with the collar. It's because he ate a piece of one of the tarts that Trey cooked, and in doing so, he broke rule number 89, which is never eat a tart without the express permission of the queen. Or, it was worded differently, but basically, yeah, that never eat a tart without the queen's express permission. And in that same way, once it's kind of like nighttime, right before they all go back to bed, Ace gets a little tough love in that sense. So, you can basically tell him you have to go and apologize, all this stuff, otherwise, it's. And then within that kind of same time frame, you see the intensity behind Riddle, because he appears from behind Ace and he's like, bitch, you broke the rules. So he's looking all intense and shit. And then you can also look in all intense and whatnot in that same instance of telling him, you better go apologize type deal. Then in that, it cuts to Ace getting ready for bed, basically. Him sleeping on the couch in the lounge of Ramshackle and the ghost kind of messing with him during that part. In the morning, it cuts to Deuce being there to find. Well, he found him. He's like, yeah, no, I figured you'd probably be here. So, and in that same thing, no, Ace is asking if Riddle is still upset over what happened, and that's what he's like. It's not that bad. He's kind of calmed down. He's a couple of the other students in Hearts Buell woke up late, and he only off with their headed three of them. So then from that point, we have Deuce leading Grim and the others to Heartsley Buell, which is where this image in the top top left for me, looking at the screen. I don't know if that gets changed as far as the screen thing. I pretty should still be like to my left, but right, left, right, yeah, all right, to my left. But anyway, so yeah, we have Deuce leading them to Heartsley Buell, where they basically go over that the section with the mirrors that leads to different dorms is all magic portals because of how far away the dorms actually are from the campus. That the only dorm that is actually on campus is Ramshackle. So we do get that little tidbit. I don't remember if that specific tidbit itself is in the game, but we do get that little extra information. And once they get into Heartsley Buell, they come across Cater, who is working on painting the roses. So that's where he's like, damn, this all looks familiar. So we get his flashback to the scene from the mirror that played at night. And then it cuts to Cater doing his like little introduction and like, oh, you two are the guys that kind of got in trouble and messed up. And we get the um not deviation, but we do get the I guess alternate reality aspect of it, that we do have the social media for Twisted-Wonderland, and it's not necessarily stated whether or not there's more, but the one that is named is called Magic Cam, which, given the name, is obviously a play on words for Instagram, so that's their kind of version of it. And then we have uh, Cater snapping a picture with Deuce and Ace, asking for their, I guess, names so he can tag them and stuff. Then he's like, "Oh no, I'm Cater Diamond, but you can call me KK," which is that part of in the book. It's a little funnier of a line because it's like, KK if you're cray cray. So that nice little kind of nod to that. So in reference to how him saying about the painting the roses, it's revealed that they're doing this for an unbirthday party, which does have that tie into Alice in Wonderland, which is just referred to as the day when no one has a birthday. There's like no birthdays, which arguably there's bound to be one birthday at least per day, objectively speaking. If the calendar works the same, the odds of depending on how big the dorms are, there's bound to be one birthday on each day, technically, I guess, just by odds of possibility. But the idea as far as the unbirthday is just that there's no birthday, and the little difference between the game is like, yeah, there's it's a day where there's no birthdays, so we throw a party if the queen feels like it type deal. So that's a little difference that they didn't quite mention there in the anime itself. And since they're asking, oh, why are you painting the roses red? So that's where it kind of not devolves, but we get a bit more. Even there's a lot of exposition in this episode actually, so that was pretty cool. We get to see a lot. We get a good amount of information. So it's told to Yuken and the others that the roses being painted red is because it's one of the original traditions that was founded by the Queen of Hearts. That pure red roses are considered mandatory for an unbirthday party, but the roses must be white when the flowers put on their spring concert. And then, as well, for the unbirthday party, is that croquet is played with the hedgehogs as balls and different colored flamingos for the mallets, which does also, again, tie into the whole thing with Alice in Wonderland. After all that, we do get one of the other rules for Hearts of the Beagle. So we have a couple more rules today, actually. Well, not a lot, but there was like a few rules that we did get today. And then we do have Cater being Riddler for a little bit, in him dropping the line "Riddle me this," but basically he tells them that, you know, after they paint the roses, obviously, but that they get Rule 53, that any stolen item must be replaced, so that they wouldn't be allowed to have Ace back in the dorm until then, as he basically went in order to try and smooth things over with Riddle. And after that, we do get a view at someone else's unique spell. We get Split Card, which is Cater's unique spell, which is basically just him being able to create illusions of himself, extra copies of himself. And for future exposition into the game stuff, is that they all share his basic like magical reserves. They don't get there's each copy is not its own thing. They all pull from his own ability. So after all that, they cut to the whole thing about their classes. We have them being in class 1A, which is also part of Deuce and Ace. And after that, we see the three kind of basic classes that we get as far as lessons that you are able to do in game. So we have their first class is Potionology, which is done by Divas Cruel, which, imagery wise, he is based off Cruella de Vil. And he is the Potionology class, so we get to see Deuce, Ace, Grim, and a bunch of like no name students, since those are kind of like the only name students they show for most of the time here for this episode. We see them in their labwear outfits. Second period for them is History of Magic, which is taught by Moses Train alongside his familiar Lucius, which imagery wise we see that he is based on the stepmother from Cinderella and the cat also from Cinderella, so they are based off Lady Tremaine and Lucifer. And then after that, we have their third period class, which is Flight / Physical Education. It's basically just listed as Physical Education, but in the game it is Flight. And that is done by Ashton Vargas, who is basically Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. And funnily enough, Vargas does have that kind of Russian-ish European accent. He's the only other one that so far has an accent. I thought some of the other ones might have a bit more of an accent. Train did have a little bit of an accent, but I couldn't easily place it. It just sounded like slightly more formal, some form of like English, British type thing. And Cruel didn't really have much of an accent to him, or at least not anything I could place. And then with Vargas's class, we do get to see them in their PE outfits, so we get to see that part. So that was pretty cool, seeing them in some of the other outfits compared to just the basic just school uniform. And during Vargas's class, we see them what basically is like one set of their exercises. So they start with 20 laps, then they do 100 push-ups and 100 squats. After that, it cuts to them at the cafeteria, and we get to see the ghost chefs, and they're doing their thing. We see Cater and Train the cafeteria, and they have Ace, Deuce, Grim, and you join them. And we get even further exposition on the dorms of the campus. So it goes into each dorm and what they are kind of representative of. So we have Heart's Labule being about the commitment to strict discipline. Savannah Claw is the king of beasts, indomitable spirit. Octavinel is the sea witch's benevolent heart. Scarabia is the sorcerer of the sand's mindfulness. Pomfiore is the fairest queen's tenacity. Ignihide is the king of the underworld's spirit of diligence. And Dia Somnia is the Thorn Fairy's spirit of nobility. After that, we see some of the other tables in the cafeteria, and it cuts to the Dia Somnia table where we see Lilia, Sebek, and Silver. And then Lilia does this thing of appearing upside down to kind of. He doesn't. He's not doing it on purpose to frighten them. He does, but he's doing it more as a kind of like prank. He's just that kind of sort of playful trickster character. And then based off imagery, we do get to see that Lilia does have very much a like kind of vampire aesthetic to him. And we get slightly more exposition on the unique spells. So it's like cater. It's either cater or trade. I forgot exactly which one, but they basically explain that a unique spell is based on the personality and specialties of its user, so it's kind of self-made. It could be like if they tried something different, it could honestly be like something completely different in theory. But that was a pretty cool kind of like little extra tidbit that they did on the unique spells. And then after that, we have them kind of explaining, oh, no, we need to have you apologize so that we can actually, so that things can kind of go back to normal type deal. And we have Ace refer to Riddle as a prissy little princess, and we get to see him from behind getting mad. And that's kind of where it cuts the episode. So we have the obedience ending theme, and then it does their little paper doll chibi outro, which basically is just focused this time within Diasomnia Dorm, and it features Lilia in silver. So it has Lilia coming back from a shopping trip in which he says he's carrying like a fuck ton of bags, and it's basically him saying that he went shopping looking for an outfit for the pop music club's next concert. Then we have a bit of a fashion show. He somehow convinces Silver to try on the outfits with him, so we get to see him not onesies exactly, more like not furry costumes exactly either, but kind of more in that realm of things. It's just like a costume. So we see them in a bunny outfit, then the squirrel outfit, and then an owl outfit, which Lilia refers to as his favorite one of the three. And that's where the episode cuts. So there are a few differences from where the things happened for the episode compared to the game, as I was expected. So we're going over a bit of that. In the game, we have Grimm running off after their classes into the courtyard, and you get a twist tune where they try and catch him. There's been no twist tune music, strangely enough, and we don't have that scene of Grimm running away. And one of the other differences is that when they're in the cafeteria, they do not end up fighting with any of their upperclassmen, which we have that happen in game where I think Grimm or someone bumps into Grimm and they drop their like omelet type deal and they fight. So those are kind of the main two differences that we have specifically from the episode compared to the game chapters of book one. So we only have, oh, actually not one. There's two twist tunes that this episode kind of not glanced over, but it didn't really take their content into mind. Well, it did for one of them because it was in regard to them painting the roses. So the two twist tunes that were part of the content for episode 4 were Paint the Roses Red, which is from the 3rd chapter of the Hartley Buell book, and Bring Grimm Back, which is the 5th chapter of that same book. So there's two twist tunes, and then episode 4 itself seemed to have covered roughly chapters 1 through 8 of book 1, and I believe there was 28 chapters, so we have roughly 4 episodes left, so that's 20, so that's going to be about 5 chapters per book moving, 5 chapters per episode moving forward, roughly. Which was kind of fine because honestly, chapters 1 through 8 basically broke through what we did right now, and then there's like chapter 9 has a little bit more in the cafeteria, and then after that, I think they're back with like Heart's debut and the other stuff that's going on there. So I think this first episode for the Heart's debut section of the story did do a good job of covering the kind of chapters it needed to. We got a little more exposition on things. We got the general breakdown, a little more exposition on the dorms themselves. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, in regards to everything for this episode, I thought I did well. There was the differences between the game and the anime and the manga. They're not to say bad or good or anything that's not happens. It's never a straight 1-to-1, or I suppose in this case 1-to-1-to-1 split ratio when it comes to things being adapted into a movie or show from a primary source already. Um, but honestly, I feel like the anime is doing a good job of it so far. Here's hoping it does well enough, and they do pick up the future seasons. Since as of right now, they've basically only confirmed up to 3 seasons, which will take us to my favorite dorm, being Octavinel. But I do really hope they get into all the dorms, and I'd be curious to see how they do the events, if they make them maybe like OVAs or like movies or something. That'd be pretty cool to see. But that's kind of just thoughts for the future. See where things go with how the anime gets popular or more popular, bringing more attention, bringing more people to the game, to the fan base, to the manga, stuff like that. So we'll see how things continue to grow in the future as we come along with the first season of the anime ending in about a month's time, give or take, roughly. But that's gonna be it for this one, you guys. As always, thank you so much for joining. Feel free to share and like the videos, subscribe to the channels. Feel free to let us know any questions you have, comments on your thoughts on the episodes, the videos, all that good shit. But that's gonna be it for this one. We'll pick it back up with another video next week. And as we are going through this right now, this week, we are also starting up on the Camp Vargas 2 event rerun, so keep your eyes peeled out for those. But that's going to be it for this one, you guys. As always, thank you so much for joining. Signing off. Peace out.